Hi, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining me here today. Today I have a special little guest here with me who's snoozing in my arms. It took me like 2 hours to try and set things up today because I had to feed him and then burp him and then he was crying. So then I was walking around and then he was sleeping and I put him in the baby carrier. Then I set things up. Then he was crying. Then he needed to eat again and I needed to eat. So my morning has just been kind of like full of trying to set things up and then trying to keep the baby happy and fed. And he's a great baby. I just love him. He's so cute. He looks so much like my first son. Um, he is very, very sweet. However, he does cry anytime you set him down. So he won't go in the rock and play. He won't go in the swing. If you put him in the carrier, he'll probably cry until he's so exhausted he just falls asleep. So we're working on that. I still think he's a really good baby. He does all the normal newborn things like wake up every hour and a half, 2 hours at night, or actually sometimes he's going 3 hours now. So that's starting to stretch out. Hopefully I don't look too tired because I feel super tired right now, but that's okay. I really wanted to make one of the other videos that I promised you in the series I was doing on teaching English learners. Now, there are a lot of strategies to use to teach English learners, and I've shared some of those with you. One of them that I talked about was using visual aids. Now, visual aids is so important when you're teaching English learners, so I want to share with you a really easy visual aid strategy that you could use in your classroom tomorrow. Now, this strategy is called an observation chart. They're really simple. They can look like all different ways. I actually showed you an observation chart in the visual aid video, so you could go back to that and see. I shared from one of my colleagues, Susie. She did a visual aid in her class, and it was the observation chart that she had students write on. So what I do when I do visual charts is I actually get just like one of these file folders, and then on the inside what I do is on one side, so you can see here on the left, I printed out a picture that was connected to our unit. So I'm just keeping this in mind of like the theme of my social justice unit, all about standing up for your rights from the fall. So I had a picture here of Malala, and this one actually has a quote that she had said. And so the picture is here, and then on the other side here, if I bring that in close, you can see on the other side it says, "This makes me think, I wonder," or "to add," and then blank. So what those are there are those are sentence frames, because I've talked to you about the importance of the sentence frame. So those are sentence frames to get the students started in working with the observation chart. Now, the purpose of the observation chart is for students to make observations about visuals. Now, if you're introducing a new topic that students don't have a lot of background knowledge of, or you want to assess what their background knowledge is, the observation chart is a really good tool and strategy to do that. So you want to provide them with bright, really nice pictures that are connected to your unit, and then a place on the other side for them to write. And I always give sentence frames to help guide and direct that discussion towards the direction I want it to go. So when I introduce the observation chart to class, every group gets one of these folders, and there's a picture on one side and then there's those sentence frames on the other side there. Now, I always give sentence frames to guide and direct the discussion in the direction that I want them to go for the students. Now, every group in my class gets one of these folders, and each group gets a different color marker or colored pencil. Now, you might have a group with all red, all blue, purple, pink, whatever colors you pick for your groups. Now, I do this because it helps me narrow down what groups are responding in what way. It helps me figure out what groups maybe have strong or weaker background knowledge or prior knowledge about a topic, but it also helps me figure out who those little rascals are that try and say something bad or write a bad word on the poster. So you do have to keep an eye out for kids who try and switch markers. So honestly, I've never had that problem. The students, they just haven't done that yet. Maybe they will, who knows? So each group starts with a folder. So I have 7 groups in class, then I would have 7 folders and 7 different pictures, and the sentence frames and all of them, they all look identical with a picture on one side and then the place to write your response on the other. And so each group gets a certain amount of time, and then I have the whole class rotate their little folders around, and we do that again and again until the groups have seen almost all or all of the pictures. Now there's other alternatives. You could do like a big piece of like construction paper on the wall with a picture and just have students write like all around it, and then have them rotate from station to station around the room if you want them up and out of their seats. And I've done it all different ways, and it works that way too. So after we do that and the students have an opportunity to look at the pictures and think about what's in the picture, what they know about the picture, what it makes them think of, then we have a class discussion and students will share their responses. I really like to use this time to create a KWL or KWLH chart and just kind of list what are some things that we know about this topic that we're studying. And so then I keep that KWL chart in the classroom and we add to it throughout the unit. We visit it constantly because I want the students to see how they're learning and address their questions. Now, I really like to add the H on there. The H stands for how. So how did I learn it? Just to help students see that we learn from a variety of different places, the internet or someone in class or a video or a speech or a magazine article, all different places. So that's the basic gist of the observation chart. Now you can keep these and then come back to them at the end of the unit. And what's really nice is because I just have this on like a piece of paper, you can actually take off the old observations that students made, put a blank sheet on there with new sentence frames for reflection or thinking about what they've learned, and then have the students go back and add to their ideas of the pictures in the observation charts. So a really great tool to front load that knowledge or access that prior knowledge. I did this at the beginning and end of our Greek mythology unit last year when I was teaching 6th grade, and it was a really great tool because a lot of my students realized that they actually did know a little bit about Greek mythology because they played these video games that had some of the characters in there, or they had seen some movies like Percy Jackson, and they were able to draw those connections to bring it back into the relevancy of the study we were doing on Greek mythology and Prometheus and all of those things. So that's what I have for you today. I hope that's really helpful. You definitely should check out and create your own observation charts. Like I said, they do not have to be really fancy. This I kind of feel like is fancy. If you want to be even simpler, you could just print out a picture and tape it to a big piece of paper. You can get, I don't know if your school, we have like rolls of paper in the staff room. Just tape it on there and then have the students go to town and make observations. But follow up with that discussion to help the students think about and talk about this topic, and then continue to come back to it. You can post those on the wall. You could let students add more to it. Maybe they want to add questions to it as it's posted on the wall throughout the unit, or you could make your own KWL chart and have students reflect and write about it. Whatever you want to do. But just know the observation chart is a fabulous strategy. You could do it at the beginning of the unit and the end. You could even do it in the middle if you're just adding more knowledge to what the students already know. It's a great tool to use in your classroom. Thanks so much for joining me here today. I hope that that was really helpful. Please let me know down in the comments below. I want to be of service to you and help you as you are teaching English learners in your classroom. English learners are so much fun and they bring in such a unique experience and perspective to the classroom. I love teaching my students. I love teaching all my students, but it's just been something I've done for most of my career is teaching English learners. I don't think I've ever had a class that did not have English learners in there. It's really easy to support your English learners. Observations chart is a great opportunity to do that. Thanks so much for joining me here. Have a great day.